Hi everyone, my name's Gemma and I'm the owner of Gemma Redmond Vintage, and I'm here again on a Friday to share with you some new additions to my online collection. As I always mention, you're welcome to get in touch to find out about any of the pieces prior to them going live on my website, which should be around sometime next week. You're also welcome to make a purchase if you wish to do so too. So I'll get started. I have 8 pieces to share with you today, and we've got sort of a lot of greens and bronzes, carnelian colours, and we've got some jewellery that has a real either historic feel to it or is historic. Yeah, there's a nice mix of pieces. Time range wise, we're going through from the Victorian era right up to the 1990s. So, as I always do, I'll begin by talking you through what I'm wearing, and then we'll work our way onto the tray I've got next to me right here. So, these earrings, first of all, let's begin with these. Now, these earrings, I have to admit, were a real mystery to me at first in terms of dating them, because they have quite an antique appearance. However, I believe that these are a vintage piece with an antique feel. These are what I would call Renaissance revival earrings, and they probably date from the late 20th century, but they have the feel of a Renaissance piece of jewellery. In fact, they have a real sort of almost Gothic type of look to them too. They are constructed from a silver tone metal, and then they're detailed with this fabulous oval cut, open back mounted, really chunky crystal, which really, I'm sure you'll agree, stands out beautifully when it catches the light too. Above them, they've got this cross type motif, which is what makes me think of the Renaissance style designs and artwork, but again, being a cross, they have sort of a Gothic feel to them as well. They're really wearable, being in a silver colour, being quite neutral in colourway, and what's more, they're for pierced ears too, so those of you who aren't very comfortable with clips, these will appeal to you. So I'll take them out for you. They have what's called a lever back or hinged back type of stud, meaning that there is a stud here, and then we've got this lever back here which secures the stud to the ear rather than using the traditional butterfly that we often see on earrings. So that's them on the reverse, and then I'll show you the front of them too. You can see the crystals are really lovely, reflect the light beautifully. They've got a great look to them. As I say, these are vintage, late 20th century, I believe, but with a real antique look to them. Next, let's move on to my necklace, which is a real antique. This piece dates, I feel, from the Victorian era, but also could perhaps be through to the 1920s, and I'll explain why. It's because this piece is detailed with around the centre of it with a fringe of tortoise beetles. These tortoise beetles were popular in jewellery of the Victorian era due to their iridescence. Insects and even birds were popularly used in jewellery during the 1800s. Because of their iridescence. We've got the little sort of shells here really do catch the light and convey all sorts of colours. We even see not just in tortoise beetles used in jewellery from the Victorian era, but also butterflies, and in fact even tiny hummingbirds used for their iridescent feathers. This isn't a new thing, however. I don't know if any of you have been watching the BBC documentary Human. The paleoanthropologist Ella Al-Shamahi mentioned that Neanderthals have been found to have used iridescent feathers, particularly favoured iridescent feathers, for their adornments. Thousands and thousands of years ago, 70,000 years ago, something like that. So favouring creatures for their iridescence in fashion is certainly nothing new. So because of the presence of these tortoise beetles, this necklace is most likely Victorian. However, tortoise beetles were used in jewellery from the 1920s too, because of their resemblance to scarabs and to fit in with the Egyptian revival movement. Tortoise beetle jewellery, because the beetles are incredibly fragile, is very rare, and it's also very collectible too. You can see that these beetles are suspended from a really nice delicate chain, and then I'll just hold them up for you to see. You can see the iridescence a little bit in the camera too, and then on the reverse here you can see the underside of their bodies through the mount. This was a popular thing to do so that you could see that they were genuine tortoise beetles. So it's not a necklace for everybody, but for those of you interested in the history of costume jewellery, and for those of you with a general fascination in antique fashion, this certainly is the piece for you. It's very collectible indeed. Next, again, antique jewellery. We have a Victorian piece, and this is a floral design. Here you can see it's a piece of Scottish jewellery, and it's known as an agate specimen brooch because you can see around the border we have various types of agate shown in this piece. On the reverse here you can see that it's got a tube hinge, which is great for dating a piece of jewellery, and a nice C-clasp, and the pin is nice and secure too. Scottish jewellery was particularly fashionable in the Victorian era thanks to that great trendsetter Queen Victoria and her husband Prince Albert. When they purchased Balmoral in 1852, there sparked a real trend and interest in jewellery of Scotland, and as we know, agate features a lot in Scottish jewellery. So this brooch really tells us a lot about the fashions at the time, and also about agate because it contains various specimens too. Let's move on to a pair of earrings. These earrings are from the 1970s. They are in nice condition, not perfect condition, but the reason I purchased them was because they're so wearable, but also they're a nice classic example of the jewellery of Francois Montague, a company which is still in existence today and produces really stylish French jewellery. They're known for her jewellery designs are known for beads with the cappings, gilded cappings, and this concentric circle design which we see on the reverse of the clips are often used in her pieces. So I'll just clip them in so you get a look at these. These were purchased in France, and I've had them for a while but not listed them for some reason. Yeah, as you can see, really stylish, really chic, as you'd expect for some French jewellery. Next, let's move to America for this great piece of costume jewellery. This is a 1960s brooch by the Trifari Company, and you can see it's a beautiful fish in movement. You can see it's fins here, really sort of, they've got sort of that real sort of flowing look to them, and the brooch is set with colourless rhinestones and a red cabochon for the fish's eye. On the reverse, the piece is signed as well, in the typical way for post 1955 Trifari jewellery. Here it is pinned against white, but it would look, I think, particularly great with denim, perhaps like a chambray denim, sort of a light denim for summer. And this is a really, really sweet figural piece. Next, let's move on to another necklace. So I'm going to just take my earrings off for the moment. In fact, before I do that, I'll tell you about this bracelet that I'm wearing, because I think it goes particularly nicely with the earrings and brooch that I've just shown you. This is a Givenchy bracelet. Some of you may recognise the G's going around the outside of the bracelet, and it dates from probably the late 70s, early 1980s. I was tempted to keep this for myself, my name being Gemma, and it would be really nice to have G's on a bracelet, but I've decided to let it go because it's really stylish, really wearable, great for stacking with other pieces. It fastens with a fold over clasp, and I'll just hold it up so you can see. The G's, it's gold plated, and the G's are all polished gold plated metal, so they really shine nicely. It's got the Givenchy mark on the clasp too, and it's just a classic piece of designer jewellery. So now I'll move on to the necklace. This necklace dates from the 1920s, the Egyptian revival period of the 1920s. When I purchased this piece, I had just the pendant. The pendant was standalone without the threading and the carnelian coloured glass beads beneath it. I sourced the beads and had it professionally strung so that this pendant could be worn again. As you can see, it's detailed with scarabs, and these are all picked out in gold enamels and green enamels and blue enamels too. It's constructed from celluloid, and it's really a great piece, so typical of the era. It just goes over the head, perhaps perfect for wearing like with a bohemian sort of peasant type of blouse that I've got on today, or a maxi dress in perhaps a green or an orange for summer. And yes, it's a really, really stylish example of Egyptian revival jewellery. Finally, let's move on to some more carnelian colours. These earrings are constructed from a bronze tone metal, and then we've got these resin carnelian beads beneath this intaglio motif of a classical woman. These earrings are by Giorgio Armani. They date from the late 1980s, early 1990s, and are stamped on the reverse of both of them just here. They're a really chic design, great for summer. I've acquired a couple of pairs of Giorgio Armani earrings recently. I've really gotten into them because they are, I keep saying stylish today, but they are so stylish and fashion forward. These are great because they have a real classical look to them, very Italian, and yes, very chic. So we've got my Giorgio Armani earrings, this Egyptian revival pendant, this Scottish Victorian agate specimen brooch, these Francois Montague 1970s earrings, this Trifari 1960s fish brooch, this Givenchy 1970s 1980s bracelet, these vintage Renaissance revival crystal earrings, and this wonderfully rare Victorian to 1920s tortoise beetle necklace. Thanks so much for joining me again. I've managed to fit it all in the time just, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Take care. Bye bye.